are talking sound design, music scoring, and production. But let me ask our professionals on the panel today, please break down sound design and music scoring for a layman who is not involved in film watching this.
Well, I will. I don't want to be so technical.
For a layman, technical, we might get lost here.
Think of sound like this. Let me just give you an experience. Watch a movie, mute the TV or the sound bar you're using, and try and enjoy maybe an Avengers movie with no sound. The experience of all of a sudden is lost when Thanos or when Thor comes in the scene and he hits that ground and his lights are with lightning. You just look at moving pictures.
Yeah.
But the impact isn't felt. Now, just play that scene again and mute the sound. And all of a sudden, you have this whoa moment. So the pictures are given life. So what sound does is that, think about it like this. Someone broke it down, one of the things, especially in the immersive formats that we use like this. Think of visuals as a painting, like you're painting, eh?
Yeah.
Then think of sound like sculpture. It gives you a dimension that you can go in. Now, of course, with 3D, things have been made more, three-dimensional experience. Yeah. But sound adds this whole new dimension to the experience. So what are we doing in film? This is the major thing that you need to understand about sound for film. Separation. You want to have as much separation of many elements as possible. You want to be able to have dialogue, when that dialogue is us talking.
Yes.
You want to be able to have human interaction with objects. We call that Foley.
Ah, those things where they record a phone falling on the table.
No, I will come to that. Human interaction with objects is my cloth movements, my feet, me interacting with the world, a human being interacting with it. That's what they call Foley. Under Foley, there are other categories. I won't go down to them. Like there's a doorbell ringing. That's a human interacting with it, but it's not you as per se, but it's categorized under Foley. Then we have what they call sound effects. Now, those are the car crash, and explosion. That's not human interaction, really, but it's sound that is made by an explosion or a car crash. Then we have what we call backgrounds. I'm on number 4. So number 1 was dialogue. Number 2 was Foley. Number 3 was SFX, which is sound effects.
Okay.
Number 4 is backgrounds. Backgrounds is your environment. When you're in Kampala in the taxi park, what do you hear? You hear horns, you hear... So those are backgrounds. What environment are you in? And the fifth and last one is music. And music, of course, enhances your experience. Mr. Kaz and I, we have taken the time to learn how to make people cry, how to make people laugh. Sound is manipulative. It's we can manipulate emotions. Yeah. So that's why it's a very crucial point in this filmmaking process, because you want to manipulate people in a certain direction. So when Thanos hits you put like, and like, yeah, Thanos has come. You get what I mean? So those are the 5 main elements. We separate them. So the thing is to always understand that if I don't have as much separation, I will not have as much of a very good experience. If I get everything at once, I may not control. Like, for example, if you're in Kampala City and trying to have a conversation with someone, the car is hooting, what? I can't hear what you're saying. I will lose the experience. So if I have separation, I can control the cars, I can control the Foley, I can control the music and make you listen to the dialogue.
But still pay attention that it's Kampala City.
But pay attention that it's Kampala City.
That's genius.
So that's I think, I don't know if I've broken it down. Maybe my colleagues can add just a few, but that's the what we call the technical term is soundtrack, but what we call sound for film is basically those 5 elements: dialogue, Foley, sound effects, backgrounds, and music.
I like that. And you've pointed out the importance of sound in film in regard to bringing out emotion. I want to know, how do you pick the right sound for whatever it is you're working on? Whether it's an experience you're trying to evoke, even you as a musician, maybe nightclub time, you know, how do you pick a sound and say, this sound will be perfect for this experience, whether it's a movie or a life activity? But you as sound engineers and people responsible for sound, what's that directs you there for that experience?
From my point of view, writers, content creators should normalize scripting. The day they will realize that, you see, when I'm writing a script, in that moment, I actually feel the sound I want.
You feel
in
the
that
sound.
moment, you know what you want. But we don't have people that script for sound design at that moment. It is a very important, you see, I look at sound as, like he was saying, for me, sound is the subtitle to what is on screen.
Absolutely.
It is your way of putting a name to the face. Whichever name you decide, it's what is going to belong to that face. But scripting at the time the writing is happening gives the sound mixer or the person managing the sound, because me, I may not be at the technical level of these guys, but you see, just like at a construction site, the engineer will work best if the structural designs are with the best detail. So if the detail is thrown in there at the time of writing, because the writer actually feels this, then it is very easy for the mixer, for the sound designer to know how they're going to make your sound feel.
That's such a powerful answer. I felt it even as a person who, let me tell you something, I cannot tell what sound from the other sound, but then I feel what the sound does. Does that make sense? So the technicalities I can't explain, but the way he broke it down, I see the vision now. Does that make sense? So you kept nodding and agreeing. Do you want to add on?
It's a powerful answer, like it covers everything. And like you said, people need to normalize including sound in the picture. It's actually, I think it's the most ignored department. They will focus on the good cameras, or focus on the good actors, makeup, costuming, but sound is not something they put on the A list. Yeah.
Because when the sound is bad, we notice. Yes.
And
Instantly.
they don't forgive that. They don't forgive
No, we don't
bad
like
sound.
that video sound.
You can
next.
when it comes to the video, you will be like, maybe it's the TV compressed the quality. Maybe it's the internet. Maybe it's this. But when it comes to sound, you won't watch, because just like you said, it evokes everything. That's how you'll feel the picture. That's how you'll feel the dialogue. That's how you'll feel the pain, you know? So they need to normalize considering sound.
Before we get into more technicalities,
Yeah.
now that you've brought that up, how can that be done in the industry today? How can we push for sound to be as much a priority as the camera? Because we've all agreed, when the sound is bad, even if you are standing in like 15,000 miles from here, you'll be like, something's off. Does that make sense? Yes. So what can you do as stakeholders to make it a priority?
If I can interject, and before necessarily answering that question, I'm going to add a little bit and then continue on to the same question. The point he made that it's important to consider those things at script level is something that not only this industry of ours that is just kind of mushrooming now, it suffers from. Even industries that have already made it, like Hollywood or Hong Kong and so on, and Bollywood, they have these issues in movies that are of either lower budgets. Not always that when it's a lower budget, then there's that problem, but it tends to happen there more. And sometimes it has even happened on movies that actually have a big budget. And this tends, because you explained that with sound, you're dealing with all those different 5 elements. And 2 of those elements that are usually neglected, yet the writer was feeling them when they were writing, are the music and the actual sound effects that kind of that give the moments impact, the kind of thing he was talking about. That those are things that can be taken in all kinds of different directions. You know, they can go wildly different. And to just give an example that where, say, Hollywood also still makes some mistakes, that perhaps we could learn from and not do, since we are still just getting up, is that if you are still at the editing level and you're using what they call temp sound for your music, you get used to it. It starts to play and give you what you need. Your edit starts to dance with the sounds that you're using. Now, after you've done that, you call Mr. Ahura, Kaz, I need a score for this, but you already have these sounds and that you've already liked, which are already dancing with your images perfectly, be it that they're not yours, because they're temps, you're probably using someone else's music that you haven't paid for. So now, you come into this challenge whereby Mr. Ahura will never write what you need, because what you need is actually already sitting on your editing bed. Do you see what I mean? So this now brings into the point that not only the music but those sounds, if they're considered earlier, there's a way they marry very well. And most of the projects where I've had the smoothest and most successful delivery of work have been when I've been contacted much sooner, sometimes even at script level, whereby it's, you know, you're working in tandem with the development of the project. So when things happen on set, sometimes you even get to see some rushes, or you're invited to have a look at what is going on set. So you get into the smoke of things. It's like going into the kitchen and you can smell some of the things. So if you're the one dealing with making the dessert, you kind of like start to...
You know the theme of the night.
You know the theme of the night. You don't just kind of start making Bloody Marys when what they're doing in the kitchen is something else. So
the bigger picture.
The bigger picture is really important. And to emphasize this, we are talking from here in Hambo, Uganda, where someone will say, what do you know, Mumanyichi, like we get these kinds of things a lot. But if we now refer back to, okay, those who apparently know more, not just apparently, they know more. Like I love Chris Nolan's approach to, the director, his approach to filmmaking, but he explains why some of the music that, not only music, but also the soundscape, like that whole, the textures and different sounds that were part of the Batman the Batman movies that he directed with, and the music and soundscapes were done mostly by Hans Zimmer. These things were developed in tandem. As from script, as he was working on the thing, he was going back and forth with sound, and the composer is not only just now dealing with notes, they're now dealing with textures. Are these sounds, are they the right, are they Batman? Are they in that realm? And they did the same with Inception, and he's recently just done the same thing with the new movie called, what's the name of the movie? Tenet? Or something? I forgot. Tenet. I haven't yet seen it. But, so that's just one example, but there are many who used to do this. If you go back, there will be Hitchcock. he used to work with Bernard Herrmann as the composer, and then you also had, say, with Sergio Leone on the westerns, you had Ennio Morricone, who they would work in synchronicity, and you can really see how that makes the movie much better, like those kinds of films better. And maybe just one last point on that, sorry I've talked a bit long, but with the Sergio Leone stuff, if I take the good, the bad, and the ugly as a film, this is a film which, like for me, it inspired me to get into writing music for film. But it's a film that I can watch just listening to the sound.
Eyes closed.
I don't even have to close my eyes. I can just watch it without, to the point that I did this in the cinema when I was a kid. I would go.
What?
Yes, and I'll pay the projectionist when they're supposed to, because Uganda is funny like that. Projection, there's another film has been advertised outside, some Indian movie, and then I go in, I pay the projectionist some extra, and he just puts in the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then I watch it. Now, this, now, I didn't know at the time why I could watch that film that way, or rather, I could listen to it. That's not to mean that the images are not good. I love the images in that movie, you know. But it just goes to show to what degree they went to get the textures, because I'm not just listening to the music. It's like the wind and the way the bootstraps, like clicking, belt buckles, and you know the pistols, like click, and
Those are powerful sounds
they're
to
dancing
make
in your mind. It's like
as a child.
Yeah, so it's beautiful.
That's a gift.
It's beautiful, but it's also it can create all sorts of emotions, not just the music. So all that stuff. Someone like Leone, who wasn't writing like scripts, like proper scripts, but was thinking of those things at the time of writing, that he could communicate this to Ennio Morricone and to other people in the different departments.
You've actually summed it up very well, which leads me to the next conversation. Since this is a problem that is universal, and I think even especially with countries where the arts industries are, you know, fighting for themselves, growing and doing the best that they can, of course those challenges are going to come up, which raises the question on actually studying for this, actually becoming a sound engineer, actually learning about sound for film and sound for everything else that requires sound. And that conversation is so huge. We're going to get into it in a little bit, right after we go for a break. But if you have questions on anything sound design, music scoring, production, you want to ask about our panelists today, leave those comments in the comments section, and we'll definitely get to them. We'll be right back.
to make it better. Find a remedy, remember myself. Face the problem, say goodbye. And the sentence without a sigh.
What does it take to change the world? It takes a long chain of resilient men and women, endowed with various skill sets and divergent mindsets, holistically working together to achieve a common goal. It is a synergetic effect of different art forms combining into one to think, design, and create mind-blowing stories. A systematic workflow and processes from department to another. A set of professional tools and elements designed to create and fine-tune. It takes persistence, consistency, and collaboration to tell compelling stories, to evoke emotions, and to change the world. We have designed a one-stopover center online with all the seasoned creatives from all the realms of the film industry. Together, we can. We are the Film Hackers.
Nabubi yazimba kumutya muwanvu
enkuba yatonya nabubi yakwa
Do you know the expression, no good deed goes unpunished?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so would you say that me picking you up there was a good deed on my part?
It was a very good thing, and may the good Lord bless you very much for it.
All right, let me tell you a story.
Tata met mama, I was forgotten. Ebyansiba byeyiwa nembusabusibwa nanoonya naye safuna kuwabulwa anaye I'm breaking breaking from the chains, climbing from the ruins. My voice needs to be heard, speaking out to you. I want to live my dream, time to speak out. Chino Chadala.
I want to give you an illustration of how 2020 feels like. And this is not the prop. Thank you, coronavirus. And let's first forget Corona for a moment. How are we going through a year that feels like a discotheque? Like heat after heat. You know, like a song is still playing, then another song just starts. That's how things are happening this year. Like, what happens to resolutions? Okay, this year which year? I think we have abused resolutions so much, the universe was like, how about a year where they just fight for their lives? I mean, look where it started. Locusts. As in, how can it be 2020 and in Uganda we have a plague? Desert locusts. They eat thousands of tons of food per day. Per day. Like, who starved them? And why are they taking it out on us? How do we even have that much food? And like that wasn't enough, we get up one morning, and an island got up, sailed. Like, guys, bye. It took a dam to intervene. Like, Otwala Orugambo dear. Things that have happened just between January and August are enough to last us 2 lifetimes. This same year saw the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement, a movement that gave birth to a group of very unstable people that thought it was unfair. They had a problem with the minimum requirement, like mattering. Like, what if it was Black Lives Matter more? The argument became too much, then COVID came and leveled the ground. Alternate, black, white, confusing, and all the 71 genders. Matter. Wait, what did you mean? Much as a lot has happened.
Uncle Mo, welcome back to the Film Hackers Talk Show. I am your host, Maritza, and if you're here for the first time or you missed the first half of the segment, welcome aboard. We're happy to see you. And this evening, this fine afternoon, we are talking sound design, we are talking music scoring, we're talking production, and I have an amazing lineup today on our panel. Uncle Mo, Moses Chiboneka is still with us. We also with Andrew Ahura, Kaz Kasozi, Rebecca Amulen, and before we continue with the conversation we're going to get into, I want you to react to a couple of videos that were played during the break. Lukman's work with roofings, that was the first one we saw. Amazing sound. Now I was hearing the things you were talking about. And it's like a level up to the experience. It's strange, just a little adjustment. And then also the girl in the yellow jumper, Andrew Ahura's work, Kaz Kasozi's work with Chad Dala. Uncle Mo. What do you want from us? You want our rigs? Uncle Mo's Makanika from Perere?
Chireka.
Chireka. Makanika from no, that's far. Makanika from Chireka. Just a quick reaction on those videos and the sound work in the videos.
Well, for things like the first was an advert, Roofing's ad. So Roofing's was celebrating 25 years, so they decided to do something that would showcase some of the work. So incredible director Lukman Ali created a concept of why don't the machines actually celebrate the 25 years they have been working. And I think to help the machines make sense, the sound had to play a very key role to accentuate that 25 year and how the machines and the metal and all this metal has impacted people's lives. The roofs on people's heads, people building muscles. Actually, Roofings is into agriculture, so that's why you saw the forest, conservation. And so that was an ad. And now you're looking at how sound plays a key role at helping people understand the message.
Yes.
So that was an ad. The next was a trailer. An upcoming, it's a movie that was scheduled to come up April 18th, 2020. But maybe it could be April 18th, 2020. Who knows?
We're looking forward.
We don't know. But also you see how sound helps in accentuating the story. Yeah. So those are just different elements to just show you how sound is very, very crucial. Now that's a film. The one was an advert, and there are quite many more. Yeah. So those were what you had seen previously.
Has he covered your reactions? Is that how you felt about them as well? So now let's talk about learning or perfecting your craft of sound, being a sound engineer, learning sound production, whatever it is that they teach you with the acoustics and the world of sound. We have built a culture of self-taught by default, I think even of our economy and even our education system. So we have a lot of people in industries, in entertainment, especially like the arts and film, and whether it is sound, whether it is media, a lot of people are self-taught, which keeps bringing us traditional Ugandans to the question of at least get a degree. So is it important to actually have that paperwork if you are working with sound, maybe as a sound engineer?
From my point, the way I got into the let's say, if I'm strictly looking at sound as sound design and engineering, I got into it in a vocational way, but it's still studying. So I want to get away from the idea that where we look at other methods of learning that are not inside these institutions that have buildings and stuff. We have to get away from looking at this other way of learning as not a way of learning. Meaning that, like, the first time for me to be in a studio, I worked there for about a year and a half, and I was a tea boy. I was a cleaner and go fetch this, make this, and you know. So I was, but all the while I'm observing, and every now and then I may be allowed to ask a question, and every now and then I'll get a very elaborate answer, or because of that question, I may be invited to a session I wouldn't have been invited to. And that way I got to work with people that I would, or to be in environments with people that were way, way above my station. Yeah.
Like a shortcut.
A shortcut. Yeah. Like, and I'm talking, I was 16 at this time, or 16. And there was a musician, poet called Linton Kwesi Jones. He's of Jamaican descent, very, popular, was very popular in England and among West Indians, but also in England as a poet. So he once came to this studio to do a session, and it's the first time I realized that that when you're just in a space, quiet, observing, you can learn a great deal of stuff. I was the only one in those sessions that was not allowed to speak. I'm supposed to be quiet and just sit there and wait for cup of tea, go and grab this, go out and get this, and don't say anything. Don't speak to the artist even.
We thank them.
Yeah. However,
You are training your ears.
However, after a couple of weeks in sessions with this gentleman, he actually asked what I thought about something. And because I was so naive, I thought, I started, blubbering. Maybe if I was a little bit more aware, I wouldn't have said anything. But because I was so naive, I started saying all sorts of things about how I had been observing. And then it turns out that what I was saying actually had value, but it only had value because I had been listening all along. As in, had I been as active, doing other things and so on, I don't think I would have had that objectivity that they didn't have. And so there's a lot of learning in those kinds of spaces because you're dealing with people that are very good at what they do. They're experienced, they've been in it for long, and you're observing how they do things. And this is kind of apprenticeships. And even in the sciences, if we go back to the Renaissance, that's how people used to learn. They didn't go to universities. They went and worked with the most prominent scientists. And if you go way back, back to the alchemists, then the philosophers you just hung around with the philosopher.
And you learn.
And then you learn.
Yeah.
You actually literally just hang around with them. That is their teaching. So if Plato is teaching, you hang around with Plato.
Carry his books.
So you carry his books, exactly. So I think some of the learning that we have here is actually very valid, but we don't know how to actually see its value. And there's a lot of it that is also bad. I don't want to pretend that is the only way. But it's also good if you can have some formal elements, because the industries that we are in have certain conventions. So it's sometimes good to understand conventions, rules, and the brackets within which things are being calculated before you start calculating things outside. So if you know the perimeter of what works, what doesn't work, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, you know how much you can stray. So if a kid knows that, this is the boundary, this is the compound, this is where you play, don't get out there, if you cross the road, it's like this and this, there's a way they can actually, when they do stray, there's a way they will stray with, reasonable intent, like there will be caution, and then they may get up to some good as opposed to some bad. So it's...
The balance.
So when you're in institutions, you get that. The unfortunate thing with the informal method, say the one I got into, is that usually it's not easy to see where the boundaries are.
So you just go wild.
You go wild.
You are a sound engineer, decorated with the degrees. Tell us what you think. Or
I'm going to break it down like this. I'm just going to pick up from what you said. This is what I believe. For us to help, you asked a question earlier, I think it was the beginning of the show. How are we going to help people understand the importance of sound? I remember you saying that. I think it's what he has said. We need to first educate, because once people don't know, we are here talking about separation, dialogue, foley, and all these different things. People have no idea. People, once they hear, in fact, one of the reasons, I will mention this, we're having a training in October. It's a free training about film mixing. And why as Quad A Records, we decided to go ahead with a training is because we realized we were offering services that people didn't understand.
Yeah.
You're talking about dialogue editing. What is dialogue editing? Why is it important? And once people don't know the importance of something, they don't value it.
That's true.
Someone can't attach value to why gold is so, it's in banks and held with guns and what, is because people know its value.
Yeah.
For us to be appreciated in this industry, people need to know the value. So people do not appreciate what we do because they don't know the value. So by us helping people say, you know what, your movie can come from this point to this point. Once we show them that, they say, eh. And by the way, why people are not able to sell their movies premium, why people can't attach heavy value on a project, it's because the experience is not demanding that value. So once we can increase the value, it's all backed in value.
Yeah.
So we need to help people understand more. We need to invest, and we need to invest in helping people understand more. And once people can understand that, oh, there are five departments in audio post-production, and this is just in audio post-production.
Wow.
There is pre-production, you know, the three stages of production: pre-production, production, and post-production. So in pre-production, that's where you have the scripts, location. That's what you were saying. We need to be involved at the very beginning.
Yeah.
In pre-production, then we get into production. There are different departments of the sound in the production phase. And then we have the audio post-production, which is also very important, and you have all these 5 different departments. So I think whether it's formal and informal, the best way, I really support what he said, the best way to learn is through internship and mentorship. If many of us got to give what we have to the next generation, we will have a better industry. Because if we die with all, the best place, you know that saying, the best place with great ideas is the grave.
Graveyard.
If we die with all the things that we have learned over the years, the next generation is dead.
Yeah.
And just to supplement on that point is that the AI is slowly but surely, and COVID has, as Uncle Mo has said, COVID has flattened because right now, Mr. Kaz can attestify to this. You can upload a song on SoundCloud or even Spotify, and they say for $1 or $11, we can master your track.
Just like that.
Just like that. AIs now can begin to do our jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, they can. Right now, they have not yet learned how to mix. Right now, they have not yet learned how to go in the field and record dialogue. But I'm very sure. Now, let me show you what's happening. People right now would rather go on the internet and look for a very good soundtrack and buy it at, what, $11, maybe $59. But yes, it will work because people don't, it goes back to my first point, value.
Yes.
If the person who owns an ad agent, who owns, let's say, your company X, I won't mention names, we're on a show, company X, the person in the marketing department of company X has no clue about sound and has no, just make me a good ad. Yeah? So what someone will do is, let's just download here to maximize profit. And that ad will go. But the impact it could have made with someone sitting down and frame by frame thinking about the emotion of that advert, that's why you will still remember, Blue Band gives you the energy to grow. You remember?
Yeah,
Why?
it's like instinct to start dancing.
When you compose something to a specific brand, it lasts a test of time.
Yeah.
But whenever you do, because licensed music, many people are using that music. You just download.
Even bloggers. I have used music used by ads.
Yes. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So AI, and I'm not saying we fight it. I'm just saying we need to learn how to then move with the tide and begin to put our content there. But also, we'll need to help people appreciate why it's important to sit down with a composer, to sit down with all these different departments and explain your vision to them so that you can last a test of time.
Yeah.
You have what they call shelf life.
Yeah.
Shelf life is reduced by you doing things quickly. Having a quick shortcut, oh, the sound effects, this can do it. But if you let Amulen go to the field and capture that gunshot live, it is different from a pre-recorded library. Of course, it isn't work. That's why all these great movies with high budgets attach value to all those departments and they last the test of time.
Value, that's
so
powerful.
it will go back to education. You educate, show people the value. Once the people appreciate the value, you will build the industry together.
And that is Chichain. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell us a little bit about that Chadala project and just paint us. I want you to share your experience, like what your work looks like. Yeah, because I think people need that picture. We need to, because he said, go out, take a picture of get the sound of a gunshot. Like, Amulen. But we need to be able to visualize that. I think that will help us in understanding the value. So just break that down in detail.
Wow, in detail.
Yeah. Brief detail.
Okay, on Chadala, I wasn't the main production mixer. I was the first sound assistant and a boom swinger.
Okay.
But I think they valued us. They put sound high because they managed to hire the good gadgets. When I should call him my boss, was asked for the team he wanted, they did that. I think they worked with respect, and when you listen to the work, it comes out, okay, it feels good. Though, of course, the nitty-gritties were not tackled. Like, you don't feel, let's say if someone is pouring water, you know, just like the advert they played, the roofing's advert.
So I'm supposed to feel thirsty when someone is pouring water.
No, you need to feel that what the picture is showing you or what the sound is bringing in. Like if it's a droplet of water, if someone is getting goosebumps, if someone is shivering, if someone is crying, you need to feel the pain. Yeah.
How do you fix something like that? Because you say the nitty-gritties were not really, tightened.
Yeah.
Can you do that post-production, or how do you prevent that from happening the next time?
It's possible both ways. You can do it on location, just like he said, going on location and getting that bullet live. You can get someone crying. I've been on sets where someone is maybe coughing, and then you're like, okay, I need to get this separate without, and the director is like, no, I can do that in post. It's okay. They have this thing of, I'll fix it in post. Yet if you're going to get the water pouring on location and just edit it nicely in post-production, I think it would save a lot compared to downloading and just throwing it there. I think if they consider location work, because that is like the clean work, it just needs to be edited out and
I find it very inspiring that even when you point out, some of the things that it takes to get great sound, some of the things it takes to, have great production and have great projects on board, the classic, not employment, the classic work rules apply. So like you were saying, you have to go out of your way to make it happen, which brings up professionalism. In film, in entertainment, let me not even just speak on film, in entertainment, we have suffered a lot from the angle of lack of professionalism. And I just want you to share your experiences and even just tell us some of the notes you've taken along your journey when it comes to professionalism in sound and how to make sure that you get that professionalism. I think let's start with you, Mo.
The thing about professionalism is across the board, from the sound person and the person that has the sound person. But the important thing about being good with anything, and if people can just understand this, there is nothing that beats practice. everyone where we start is usually, but if you keep practicing ethics, practice does not lie, it shows on you. And the best way to practice, to break it down for you, one, because we learn from someone else.
Yeah.
So one, copy, imitate what people call professionalism. Integrate it into you, in your uncommonness.
Okay.
Then after that, reinvent yourself. Then people are going to
someone else's blueprint.
Yes. Then people are going to be like, that guy's different. It is the best way to practice anything. And then the icing, I usually tell people, if anything is worth doing, it is worth doing well. Yeah, people only use it during coitus, but even everything else.
We also just use it as a quote on Facebook.
Yeah, anything worth doing is worth doing well. If you're not going to do, just don't walk away.
You know I'm a poet, so I'm about to start snapping because powerful points here. Kaz, you want to add on that maybe?
Yeah, this in itself could have carried this session alone for 3 good hours. So I've had many what I would call bad experiences, but I'm not going to focus on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at those which have been right and give those as examples that so that we can see what needs to be done, because the problem is always two-pronged. As he said, the person hiring and then the person delivering the work are both key in, they should both have the right, be towing the right line. And so we are all to blame when things actually do go wrong. But let's first look at the person hiring. A lot of times, people don't sit down long enough to define what they need. They may know what they need. Or most often, actually, people know what they need deep down. But they don't always articulate that because maybe they have not given enough time to digest it and think about it. Yet they're not the ones who are going to deliver that element. They're going to ask someone else to do it. But then they're going to give that person instructions that do not relate to what they need.
Yeah.
So the most times where I have had really, really good, successful work is because the person hiring me took the time to really think about what they were asking me to do. And this is unfortunate to say, but in Uganda, I've had it, I think I can count it on one hand, and they don't make it to 5. So unfortunately, most of those have been abroad. I can mention a name here, I think it's okay, that a director like Judith Adong, who is mostly in theater, but she is also going to be into film very soon, is someone who always would give me very, very, very clear instructions. So that means that if things go wrong, the chances I am wrong.
I love those people.
Do you know that kind of thing? Yeah, because it gives you something clear. And when they tell you that, oh, Kaz, you got this wrong, you look at it and you're like, why did I even do that? You don't even argue about it because you can see clearly you didn't fulfill the brief. So that's why I was saying I want to concentrate on those who have given me briefs that actually really make sense. Then you're less likely to fail on your deliverables and on your deadlines, because deadlines are this business is like
we live on deadlines.
Deadlines are like such a thing. But you will also note that most people who are able to give you that kind of thing have either lived with the project longer or they started thinking about soliciting your services pretty early, going back to Uncle Mo's idea. But yeah, and then if we refer to what Miss Rebecca was saying, that you got the person, you've hired them to do something. why are you now saying we'll do it in post when this person has been
here to
hired?
do the job.
So,
Yeah.
so I've had this even in writing music. Someone hires you to write something, and then they tell you in the middle, but there's this other guy who's going to throw in one tune here. Maybe they've got a friend, and then we got this other thing. There's a tune that I like. You know, there are
Isn't that
songs
too many cooks?
Exactly. And usually, for me, especially in an industry that is growing, this is a very unprofessional thing to do because we accept work on so many different levels.
Yeah.
So I can accept work and I don't even tell you that the money or the fees are little. I may not even mention it, but I know they are little.
Yeah.
And I have agreed on the premise that this is useful like this and this and and credit is very important.
Yes.
So now, if I've accepted something on the basis that, okay, I'm doing this alone, I will be able to shape this like this, and then suddenly on the credit, there's someone brought a song, the other one brought a song. Then now, my value, goes down.
It's like quencher and too much water.
Too much water. And
I'm going to have to, sorry, I'm going to have to cut you short. But I think that is very, very important to note as we take a quick break. And when we come back, I want all the panelists today to add on to the very crucial thing that is money. How do you make money in sound? We'll be right back. Look at Andrew.
Now that's another day.
That's another day. Bruh, we'll make it work. How much time do we have left?
Someone has, why did you get it?
Can I find a network in your village?
Network?
Yes. I have no signal on my phone.
You don't have Airtel 4G?
No.
Here we have Airtel 4G. There is network in the whole village.
Access Airtel 4G network anywhere in Uganda. With you always. Airtel, the smartphone network.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Film Hackers Talk Show. I am your host, Maritza. The conversation on sound design, music scoring, and production is going on. And our panel is so colorful. We have Andrew Hura, Uncle Mo, Moses Chiboneka, Kaz Kasozi, Rebecca Amulan. And if you've been watching, you've, Googled them at this point, stalked them, downloading their movies. Please don't do it illegally. The business needs money, which is the conversation now. How do you brand yourself as an audio producer to make the business, to get the business that you want to get? Because regardless of passion, people need to eat. And I think most people would agree with the fact that we're moving towards a world where we don't want to do 5 jobs at the same time. If I'm in entertainment, I'm in entertainment. Let entertainment pay my bills. You know what I mean? So how do we get to that part, being in audio production?
Well, I could start by saying, I mentioned earlier, first of all, we need to first understand the different, you need to understand your purpose. That's where I'm going to start. There are many people who have come to the studio, to Quad A, and they, oh my God, I'm so passionate about sound. Oh my God, sound. And why? Sound has a manipulative thing about it.
Yeah.
It has this wow effect. You remember the thought thing I started with in the beginning?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I think I'm a sound. I am supposed to be doing sound.
Passion.
So when we come and we have a conversation with them, we look through their history. There is no trace of sound. We look to the future, and you can look to someone's future. If I ask anyone here, you can just ask someone, what do you want to do in 5 years from now? Just paint me that picture. 5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing? Many of them say, oh, I think I want my name on a billboard. I want to be doing, and you're not designed to do sound. You're a director. You need to understand what your purpose is. What were you called? What were you built? What were you designed for, to accomplish? You see, life is so interesting. We have about 80 years. That's if you're okay. 90, 100.
Yeah.
But okay, let's say 90. You have about 90 years to leave a mark on this moving planet through space.
Yeah.
That opportunity is not given to everyone. So when you have been given that chance to make an impact on the global planet, you don't want to waste your years. You come and try out, let me try out 5 years doing sound and see if it's my thing. And then after 5 years, you realize, I wasted time.
Yeah.
Find out, be very honest with yourself. What do I want to do 5 years from now? Now, if you have honestly done that assessment and you know your vision and purpose for life, then I'll talk about, because I'm with my background and specialties in the audio post-production side. Okay. Probably my friends will expand on the others. In audio post-production, we have the 5 departments. We have dialogue, we have Foley, we have SFX, we have backgrounds, and then we have music. Now, under those different departments, you can actually start a career, but you need to invest time in them. Yeah. As he said, to become a professional, you know that, is it 10,000 hour rule? Yeah. Where you have to do something so many times that you're so good at it, they wake you up in the morning and say, edit this, you just don't even do it well. So there is a lot of time that needs to be invested to build that craft. If you want to do music composition, you can make money from putting up your records. Like I told you, there's the AI, now people are selling music on, you can just put up a website or subscribe to publishers. Yeah. There is ESCAP, there is BMI. Subscribe to them, build up a library, put up your library online, and people will be, YouTube actually begins to pay people. Put up your music out there. Once people begin to buy your music, you grow a fan base. And those people will always say, this person's music, we love this person's music. and they begin to buy your music. As a composer, you begin to make money. If you want to do dialogue editing, if you want to do Foley, put your CV out there. But you see, you can't build a CV in 1 year.
Yeah.
Because people will not give you work when you have 1 year's experience. They will give you work if you have, I've done this movie, I've done this movie, I've done this. In other words, you need to build your profile. So you can build your profile, then put up your profile online. And people who keep on scouting, people are scouting, there are always people scouting. I want someone to do Foley for this project. What is their profile? So invest in time and then put yourself out there, and people will always, your time will come. If an opportunity hits your door and you're not prepared, that opportunity is gone.
It's gone. That's true.
Yeah, so there are all these different departments in dialogue, in Foley, SFX, backgrounds, and music. All these different departments, careers can be brought forth and people can actually earn from them, but we need to invest time in them.
I like that. Uncle Mo, let me see your shoes. You have money. Tell us.
Well, you see, half the time, I don't blame sound production mixers much sometimes, because the business thing is also a complicated other thing. Probably some guys, all they know is the sound.
Yeah.
So people need to invest time in the master classes to learn some of these things. But if I'm to just rush to how will they make money? So here in this moment, I'm talking about, say, Becky. She has already done sound for some time. How can she make money? Sound, the people doing sound need to understand the art of telling us that don't understand sound what is entailed. When you're quoting for your sound, you don't say, to do that, I'll need 300,000. I'll ask you for what?
You're going to eat all of that, man?
You calm down, and by the way, when you understand how to quote for your work, you will start making money. And by the way, when you're quoting, you have to put anything you will actually need, because you might actually need it. So sit down, be like, I'll need I don't know the things that happen in there, but at least I know there's a mixer, there's a boom, there's a gear, there are lapels, there are what, and then, so that someone appreciates. So that we establish the fact that actually sound is needed.
As opposed to sound smart.
300K. Why?
They don't go further.
So that from that moment,
300K.
it brings me to the simple motto. If you pretend to pay someone, they'll pretend to work for you.
Oh.
Yes.
Period.
Works for me. Absolutely works for me. Now, before we went, right at the break, we were seeing the Airtel ad with the villager in the village. How are you the villager in the village? So you worked on that project.
Yes, I did.
Can you share your experience being on the project, and if the project had an impact on you, not just with your career, but did it propel you in terms of sound dimensions and your learning scope? Just share your experience.
My experience on the Airtel advert was the best part of it, or what made it really easy, is the fact that I was working with a director that was communicating, a director that was understanding, listening, and not hard to approach. Most directors are taught that a director is unapproachable. They are high there, so you can't go and ask him or her, what do you want me to get in this specific situation? Do you need sound on this? Do you need me to record this? Do you need me to record that? So the director we worked with, he was from, I think, Zambia. He's called Ken Mumba. He was so easy to work with. I sat down with him that morning and he took me through his expectations. He told me, I want this, I want that. Even before, we had already prepared the gear we needed, because he communicated what he wanted.
Before he came.
Meaning he's schooled on all that, on all the departments. So when we got on set, it was easy. I knew I have to get the chickens making the noise. I knew I need to get the footsteps of the baby running. I knew I need to get the beats of these people running around and all that. So it made it really easy for me, because I didn't have to just think and say, what if I record this and he actually doesn't use it?
Yeah.
Because most times you're like, but he doesn't really need this. He's not going to use this. She's not going to use this. But once your director gives you a breakdown of what he wants, and that's what happened on that advert. He just broke down what he needed, and of course, the rest of the team was professional. You know, if you're also working with other professionals, you don't have to struggle. But we get in situations where people think when you ask for silence, I can still keep murmuring, and it's okay. They don't know that the mics are picking everything, but if all of us know when it's time for recording, the moment we call a tech, we all go silent. Even your breathing has to be moderated. You don't cough, you don't clear your voice, you don't drag your feet. If you've seen people booming before, even the boom swing, even if you're following someone, you're so careful, like your footsteps are
You're like
so...
a thief.
Yes, like you're basically tiptoeing, and because you don't want to affect anything. So I think going back to what almost everyone has said here, we need that professionalism. We need to be schooled. We need to know, before you become a director, you need to know how the camera works. You need to know what it takes to get good sound. You need to know how acting works. And once you get all that, I think you respect all the departments. And that's how even the money comes in, because there is professionalism. You're working with a professional director, the DOP is professional, your boom swinger or your assistant is a professional. They know what to do. And professionalism, that doesn't just mean you went to school, like you said. You have the experience. But then I've noticed in Uganda, once I learn on the street, that's it.
You're from the
yes,
streets.
I'll come and
you're
diss
good,
you and do what, and that's it.
Yeah.
We have lots of people that have learned on the job, or maybe even on the street just, and they carry that on. They don't want to adjust, but you don't have to go to a university to learn professionalism. Like you were saying, you can pay up for a masterclass. You can sit on YouTube and watch. You can interact with other people. Up until now, I've been in the industry, it's coming to 5 years, but I still call my mentor when I'm on set, in case something is not matching up. I still ask him, do you have anything new? I learn from the people that I'm just mentoring, actually. Andrew knows Komakech. There is a young boy. He's also getting into sound. When I'm working with him, he teaches me things. He's like, no, this isn't called this, it's called that. Did you know this? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But then when you block yourself and think the knowledge you have is just enough. When I'm on set, I'm the king. When I'm on set, I'm this, I'm the queen. I'm not, you can't tell me what to do. Trust me, you will never get out of the loophole you're in. You'll be in that fence thinking that's all you should know. Yet there is a lot of information outside there. There is a lot of things you can learn on set. Like Uncle Mo said, being on set also helps. Being on, okay, let's say in studio or what, being on the job. Yes, that's why, being on the ground. Most directors will tell you I was a T girl, I was a slate girl, I was a runner, I was this. We usually use runner, but from observing you learn a lot. Yes, you can go to school, learn these things, but observation also gives you a big, so yeah.
So I bring up the Airtel ad to also, I think, bring up Chadala as well, which was social responsibility production.
Yes.
And these things that are maybe outside the scope of entertainment. Paint for us a picture. What are some projects that, don't necessarily fall in entertainment and are closed off as just have a good time? What kind of projects can propel your career into the bag, like the money? When we think the money for us, on the other side of the end, we think Hollywood. So Queen of Katwe, like, Bazali Descent. Hey! So what kind of projects can propel you to those heights? Kaz, you've seen the heights.
Okay, there are many.
Give us the shortcut.
I think there are many things that you can do to improve first your marketability, but your presence within the market. Even when you're not directly marketing, but to be visible. And the main thing I think is first to be present within the field and sphere that you intend to operate. I'm not a person who, for example, likes to go out a lot. I don't do bars, I don't do, This COVID situation is kind of my usual life.
It's your life.
Yeah. So, but I found myself, like, especially here in Uganda, I found myself having sometimes to go out. And I haven't gone out necessarily for a good time, to meet, to meet some people who are within the industry that we are in. Even though I'm kind of reclusive, I can still get those few moments. And it's very taxing. Like to show how important it is, for me going out is extremely taxing. Extremely, like my mind doesn't like it. But knowing the industry I'm in, that I also have to connect with people, see who is doing what, who's performing, who are the people making things, or a new movie came out. It might even be, I might even already know that the movie is bad. And I still go to see it and support and those kinds of things. You keep engaging because also, in fact, in films, it's kind of odd to talk about good and bad films because many times what makes a film fail is not because of the abilities of the individuals.
Yeah.
There are many factors that make
involved.
it. Otherwise,
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you short. We're being round up.
Okay.
But just give us like a couple of projects and just closing remark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll refer to one that has already been shown. For example, the Chadala score, which I was involved with writing, and that on that score, some of the things that we've talked about here that are important did happen. They called me in, not at script time, but it was still early on. They were still shooting some extra stuff, and it was quite a tough sell for someone within the production to sell to the producers that this music needed to be written in this fashion. And that's not to say that the producers didn't want something good, but it goes to show that we need a lot of educating on both sides of the level, like both for audience, for the practitioners ourselves, to see like what does it entail, and it was kind of an education for us, for the producers also to know that okay, this can work, and this is how tough it is, or how long it takes to do this. This is the value of this work. So it was a very interesting project in the sense that within the production itself, people had to convince each other
that
these elements are necessary.
I like
so
that.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That shows
progress.
progress. And I'm pretty sure that as things go forward, those same individuals, even if they're doing other productions away from the same team, they will now have the value of that information. But then going to the just briefly, the thing of earning is still really tough in our industry here because it's just picking up.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to keep a very lively presence beyond here.
Yeah.
Because music is not just a preserve here, and African content, if we're speaking of music specifically, has gained traction further. So if I can write like the score for Chadala, whereby it's using a classical elements, like it's kind of written was written to be played by an orchestra, but the elements are African.
It sounds like ours.
Yeah, so it's still possible to actually write something very African without necessarily dingidi, akogo and all that. And I don't have anything against that. I have an akogo at my desk actually. Because I go to it to get melodies that I would use in other ways. Yeah. So try to use that which is close to you and try to use that which is genuine. Like without forcing, like which is genuine. But trying to force things, you're not going to compete with Hans Zimmer at this point.
I like that.
Do something unique that is sellable.
We're running out of time, but I want brief closing remarks from all our panelists because we've picked so much and we need to just boil it up. Yes, Rebecca?
My closing remarks would be people should normalize learning, respecting, and paying, of course. And King, of course, because I usually defend the audio department so much because you can listen to a radio and laugh, smile, and dance and what.
Yeah.
But you can't watch a TV and it's muted and someone is talking and you expect to laugh along.
Yeah.
Unless if it's Mr. Bean. But even with Mr. Bean, there are those funny sounds that come along. Yes.
Yeah.
So people should normalize, learning and respecting every department.
I like that. Mr. Moses?
The thing that I want people, I would say it again, like for myself when I was doing Amankomo Makanika from Chireka, it started from way back. I used to watch Jay Leno on Saturday Night Live, and I was like, one day I want to do a Jay Leno Saturday Night Live show in Uganda. It was my dream.
Nice.
Then later, someone better, in my opinion, comes and is doing the Daily Show. That guy, Stewart, what was his name?
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, Jon Stewart. I was like, no, I don't want Jay Leno show. I want this one. And that was my idea until 2 weeks before I shot my first episode of Makanika from Chireka. Okay, guy came and told me, where are we going to get lights? We don't need to set up a studio. Where are we going to set up the studio? So I borrowed, I imitated, and somebody said, you have a garage. Why can't you just go and do your thing from there? And I reinvented something new. To me, it's new. I don't know, probably people have seen it somewhere else. But you see, if we want to work like that, we have a place. If people want to work like that, I have videos that I've had to shoot again because there's an effect that won't
was
be
not wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. We should want to work like that. If you're not going to reinvent, I don't want to say don't wake up. Okay, you wake up, but just do something else that you reinvent.
Yeah, I like that. Mr. Hor?
Well, I think it's very important that we spend the time, doing the things that we love. If you love to go in the field and capture sound, go and do that. But also, we're not downplaying going to university and studying sound. It's actually expensive to go and do sound.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive. It's actually, and it shows you why it's expensive. It's very expensive. So you find many people just doing it just on the streets, as she said. But you have to have a mixed spirit. You have to have a teachable spirit. You have to learn. You always have to learn. So if you want to grow, if you want to make a career in the sound department, intern with people, intern with cars, intern with Amulen, intern with him. Come on his set and say, well, let me learn how your sound guys do it. How do they capture that sound?
Yeah.
Learn from people who are in the craft doing it, and always have that mentality of I'm always learning. We never stop learning. Always keep on learning things. And also, I love what Kaz said, and I'll also emphasize it, that it is very important for you to be unique. And he also emphasized it. Be unique. Don't do what others. Think outside the box. Don't think about, the others did it like this, copy and paste. You will not be unique. Think outside the box, and I think by doing that, we'll put our industry on the map. People will notice, there's something special coming out from Uganda. What is that? It is something that is new. I'll say it again. I love his show.
Yeah.
And why? It's because I'd not seen. I was so proud that it was a Ugandan doing something like that, and I shared it around.
Nice.
But people want something new. People are tired of seeing the same old content. So if you want to start a career, just make sure that you come with that perseverance and unique thinking outside of the box. And I think we shall make it. The final thing that I will also say is that it's very important for us to find a way in our uniqueness to make it sustainable.
Yes.
By making it sustainable, we are able to keep doing what we love.
Yeah.
Because you're able to, it's something you're enjoying and it's sustainable. Like, you know why Coca-Cola makes a lot of money? Coca-Cola has the budget to keep showing you that a meal does not go well without a Coke. So you find it, and now they're able to pay the camera people, they're able to pay the best sound guys in the industry, they're able to pay all these things. Why? It's because they're showing the client, they have that marketing department that is able to market the product so that people can buy. Once the people buy, they're able to consume the product, making Coca-Cola money to pay the other people in the industry.
And fund
So
it,
in other words, we need to tackle the marketing of our content, making it sustainable. Once it's sustainable, we're able to enjoy our different specialized fields and be the best that we can be.
I cannot even reiterate or add.
And one last thing, maybe.
One last thing. I
It's
feel
funny.
Like, is it short?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's about money. I love money.
It's about money,
I love money, yes. Producers need to know, producers who produce a series, they need to know that the money you're paying the sound mixer, the production mixer, doesn't come with a boom swing. You know, they overlook those guys so much. Okay, I'm also a boom swinger. Sometimes I get jobs like that. But then they're paying the production mixer, and they're giving you.
They forget that someone
money.
has to work
Yes,
these.
Yes.
I'm very happy that I had the privilege to sit and host this panel. You are amazing in this industry, valued. This afternoon we were with Rebecca Amulen, Kaz Kasozi, Moses Chiboneka, and Andrew Ahura. I am very excited that you shared and you gave more than was even required. So I'm grateful. And we hope you will replay this video over and over again. Please follow them on social media. You can find this video on Net Studios Africa on YouTube and Facebook, Film Hackers Uganda. And of course, this would not have been possible without Incredible Media and Garage Group. My name is Maritza. Catch you again next Friday. Learn, take notes, and take all this in. And we'll see you next week for the next Film Hackers talk show.